Hello and welcome to episode 19 of the MicroMuse. And the title this week is How to Pulverize Procrastination, because it is absolutely the writer's bane. Everybody that I have spoken to that writes or does really any kind of creative activity, including myself, gets stuck in procrastination. So today we are asking, why do you even know why you behave the way that you do? I never used to, and now I am beginning to understand it a little bit. And it's actually really simple, but humans are really brilliant at overcomplicating everything, and we're also really brilliant at ignoring the stuff that we ought to fix and ought to do. So simplest terms. Cause is followed by effect. We do something or we don't do something, and something else happens because of that. And our bodies are chemical factories, basically, directing all of our behavior. So I'm not going to go into like a massive amount of detail about, the chemical bits and bobs, but I am going to talk a little bit about dopamine, particularly because I have a natural dopamine deficiency with the ADHD part of my brain. And I know that a lot of people who listen to this and who are in my world are also neurodivergent in some way or another. But also it affects people who are, neurotypical as well. In that, that there is a bit of a dopamine problem going on, largely because of social media, and the kind of fast-pacedness of today. And I just wanted to share a couple of things really. First of which being that this distraction and this procrastination is, it's not your fault. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to do something about it. I want to say it's not your fault. I mean that things like, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, they have been deliberately engineered to be as addictive as possible. Like, they've been created by people who are very clever, very close studies of human behavior, and they have been created specifically to tap into the stuff that makes us want to keep opening and keep scrolling and all the rest of it. So don't worry about it. And also it's human nature to just put off stuff that's difficult, right? We've evolved to want to take the easiest route to conserve energy, which is, was in the past a very, very sensible, very, very sensible strategy, because we didn't know where our next meal was going to come from. We didn't know if we were going to get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger or, the next group of people that we might encounter over the hill. So it was really sensible to put, as much calories in and then conserve as much energy as possible. And part of that conservation is not wanting to think too much. So our brains come up with shortcuts. And we're also, we're just programmed really to be lazy. So there's that but once we understand it, we can start to get around it. The other thing is that I'm going to very much simplify this. There's a really good book that you can read called The Dose Effect, which is really, really interesting. I read it earlier this year and it was a real eye-opener. But dopamine is a really important kind of motivational chemical, and there's a real big misunderstanding as to what it's used for and how our bodies use it and what it can get us to do. And there's different types of kind of ways of getting dopamine. There's the really quick way, which is the quick dopamine hit that we get when somebody likes our social media posts or when we're scrolling. We're getting that quick dopamine hit, but then we get a massive crash. And the reason behind that is because it takes no effort at all. Like it's just completely mindless, this doom scrolling and the likes and all of the kind of really shallow stuff that we get those dopamine hits from. With social media. I'm talking particularly with social media, but there's other stuff as well. So it might be like, if you're anything like me, you might eat an entire box of Maltesers, and that'll give you a real quick dopamine hit, and then you'll feel like trash afterwards. And not just because you've eaten too many Maltesers, but because there's then this big deficit. So you get this big dopamine spike from the real quick, easy hits, and then there's a real big deficit afterwards. Now, the second type of dopamine, and this is the really valuable type of gathering dopamine, is when you put effort in. So it's harder, right? So that's why when you've done something like go for a run or you've done a gym session, it might be really hard. Or for example, I'm doing cold shower blasts in the morning after my nice warm shower. It feels horrible in the moment, but afterwards there's that like real feeling of well-being, and that feeling lasts, like it lasts much longer. This is why I like to tell people that I run, but I don't enjoy running. I enjoy having been for a run. It's not entirely true. I kind of do enjoy the running as well, because there is joy to be had in doing painful, hard things. But this feeling that you get afterwards, that feeling of well-being, like when you've said, oh, I'm actually gonna sit down and I'm gonna spend an hour working on my book. It feels really good afterwards, and that feeling lasts, like that good feeling lasts much longer than if you'd spend that hour doom scrolling Instagram or whatever. So I just wanted to give you that quick tip first, this kind of idea of where we get dopamine from and why we often feel like shit after we've done the doom scrolly fast dopamine hit thing. And the second thing I want to give you in today's MicroMuse is a script flipping thing. And I learned this from being in Sophie Lee's brilliant program. And I actually do some of this myself, but like innately, I've learned over the years how to kind of hack my own brain and how to trick myself into doing the things that I want to do. But the way Sophie put it, I really like it because it's a really simple little system. So I have now, I'm going to share two strategies with you. First one, I'm calling the scroll flip loop. I think Sophie might have called it the scroll flip loop. And the trigger for it. So the way that, and this is, you can read, sorry, that was very rambly. You can also read Atomic Habits, which is a great book. I know that not everybody likes that book. I think James Clear's pretty cool. He's a nice guy. He's doing good stuff. And that book is really, really good. It's objectively got really, really good messages in it. So give it a watch. But he talks about habit loops. And this is very, very similar. In The Dose Effect, the author, I forget his name, he talks about these loops as well, dopamine loops and things like that. So the idea is that you have a trigger, an action, and a reward, and that's how habits work. And so we're going to talk first about the scroll flip loop. So the trigger is, and I've started doing this, and it's really good. The trigger is that I will notice that I am doom scrolling, right? And sometimes it's great because I get my 3 favorite gymnastics guys, which is Ash Watson and Niall. I can't remember his surname. Anyway, Niall Wilson. Yeah. Or I'll get cat videos, or I'll get, my comedians. I follow a lot of stand-up comedians. So I'll notice that I'm doom scrolling, and often it'll make me feel like trash because, hello, look at the world. And that's the trigger. I notice. How long have I been sitting here? Ugh, I'm feeling a bit ugh. My action is that I must then screenshot one post that made me feel something, that sparked a reaction from me. Maybe it sparked hilarity. Maybe it sparked interest. It's like, oh, that's really interesting. Where did that come from? I want to investigate that more. Or maybe it sparked a rage response, which is, let's face it, not difficult because everything is engineered for rage right now. So I will notice that I'm doing that, and then I will screenshot that one post that sparked a reaction from me, and I'm going to use that to create a post of my own. So if you're on my email list, you may have noticed last week that I wrote about, oh my God, I can't even remember what I wrote about. I promise I do prepare these videos. Anyway, I wrote about a thing, but the thing that I wrote about was as a result of this scroll flip loop that I'm telling you about now. And then the reward of that is that I tag that screenshot inspo, or actually what I do is I stick it in my Trello board in my inspiration list, and drop it into my content bank so that it gives me something else to write about. So, and the little feel good from that is, and it will last and last, is that I know that I now have a piece of content that I can write. When I'm stuck, I can just scroll through that inspiration, and I'll be like, oh, cool, I can write about that. So that's the flip for me, and it also stops me from scrolling. Then it like snaps me out of it because I've screenshotted it. I then need to put it somewhere, which takes me out of the app, which gets me doing something else and thinking about writing instead of literally everything that's going on around us. So that's the first thing. I hope you find that helpful, and you can thank me, but you can also thank Sophie Lee. And the second one, and this is a thing that I do, and I've just reframed it into the procrastination flip loop. To pulverize your procrastination, my trigger is that I notice when I open a distraction tab, and I do this all the time. So I'll be writing, and I'll be like, oh, I'm writing this thing. I'm currently working on my next book. I'll be like, oh, I can't think of that. I'm just going to open this tab. And before you know it, I'm down a wormhole of, what armadillos eat. So that's my trigger. I notice that I have opened a tab that is a distracting tab. My action is to close the tab, stand up, and leave the room. Or just close the tab and spin my chair around, for example. Or maybe close the tab isn't the first thing I do. Maybe I stand up, close the tab, and go for a little walk. The reward then is that I move my body and maybe use my voice recorder to do my writing in a different format, because sometimes it's the act of sitting here and I'm like, oh, I can't think of anything to say. But as soon as I stand up and change my state and change my environment, go outside into the sunshine, for example, I'm going to have some more ideas, because changing your state literally changes your mind. And so I can use my voice recorder to do that writing there and then transcribe it later instead of sitting and banging my head against the desk. So those are my 2 things for today: how to pulverize your procrastination. You've got your scroll flip loop, which will give you endless content, and you've got your procrastination flip loop, which will stop you from opening tabs and doing things that you don't want to do when you are feeling resistance to doing the writing that you actually do really want to do. So I hope you have found that useful. I'm also going to spend a couple of moments telling you a little bit about my Microbook Magic Season 7, which is starting on October the 20th. I'm really excited about it. I can't believe we're into Season 7. I've already sold 1 seat. Got 1 seat is taken, and I haven't even opened the doors officially yet. The doors are opening officially on October the 6th. If you would like to sneak in early, you can drop me a DM or drop me an email, vicky@moxiebooks.co.uk, and I will give you 10% off the full price. Just drop me a line. Otherwise, it's full price when the doors open on the 6th of October. Microbook Magic is so much fun. I think I've put close to 50 people through it now. And so there are, all of these books. Not every single person has finished their book. Some of them have decided that actually they wanted to turn it into something else, like a course or something. But I have a growing pile of microbooks from this course now. It's very exciting. And the idea is that I give you everything you need to get your first draft done, or as done as possible in that 8 weeks. You get my feedback on your writing. You get to send me all of the stuff that you write. We've got group calls in which we'll kind of troubleshoot and feedback on the work that you've done. And I will also provide you with everything you need in order to self-publish your book. So all of the things that you need to know, a bunch of tools, and a load of contacts for other book publishing professionals. And it is 8 weeks and a showcase where you get to show off all of the work that you've done, which is always really good fun. Nobody wants to do it, and everybody's super glad that they've done it because it's a scary thing to do. And yeah, we start on October the 20th, and I'm really excited. This is the thing that I am most proud of. I'm always super excited to work with people on the microbooks. And if you're wondering what a microbook is, it's my definition. I made it up. I need to crack on and trademark that. But I define a microbook as under 100 pages and maybe 15 to 25,000 words, depending on what it is you're writing. And that's my sheep that you can see in the background. That's Bronson. He's the dickhead. So yeah, Microbook Magic. Drop me a line. I'll pop a link so that you can find out all about it. And yeah, have a look. I would love to have you join us. So your 5-minute takeaway for this episode of the MicroMuse. You are going to set a timer for 5 minutes and create a little dopamine loop for yourself. You are going to identify your biggest procrastination activity. It might be different for you than it is for me. Probably will be. You're going to set your trigger. The thing that you notice that is the procrastination activity. You're going to set an action to counteract that procrastination activity, and then you are going to choose your reward. And that reward can be anything, can be absolutely anything you like. It might be an innate reward that comes from just the feel good of doing the thing, or it might be like, you know what, I'm going to treat myself to a fancy coffee after I've done this thing. So that is your 5-minute takeaway from this week's MicroMuse. And as usual, you can follow me and subscribe. Please follow me on here, ring my bell. You can go to moxiebooks.co.uk/freebies to join my mailing list and get some free goodies to help you use your voice to make good trouble. You can also do that by visiting my profile page and hitting the button that says subscribe to my email list. I will be back same time next week. I hope you have had a wonderful week so far. Have